Hello, everybody. Welcome to DraftKings. That's right. This is the English Premier League, Week 3. That's it. We've got there. My name is Taran Atkins. I am your host. And joining me for our 8-man pick selection roundtable discussion, that's right, hashtag that, joining me is Andy Davis, Edo Del Monte, and our good friend Jamie Hinks. Right, gentlemen, as ever, we've all picked our own teams for this coming week. And we're going to start with goalkeepers, and I'm going to start with Jamie. Jamie, who's your goalkeeper? Who's the man you think is going to get us the most points in goal this weekend?
Kasper Schmeichel, 5,200 from Leicester City, of course. I think he's got possibly the best look at the win clean sheet combo in there this week, just because of the fixture they've got.
Yep.
He's got the first choice back four in front of him again.
Who's Leicester? They're at home.
Swansea.
They're at home to Swansea.
Which
right.
I mean, Swansea are good, but they only just beat Burnley. And Llorente, for all his endeavour, is just putting all the headers on target, from what I can see. So, as in just into the goalkeeper. So
yes.
Not on target. On target is very good.
So good for a goalkeeper then to make saves.
Yeah, good for a goalkeeper to make saves. He's had 3.5 saves per game so far, Schmeichel, and as I say, Huth and Morgan are both back now. Huth's back now from suspension. I think that's going to make a world of difference.
Yeah, I saw enough in Leicester last week against Arsenal to think, right, they're not going down without a fight. So that's your goalkeeper. We're going for Kasper Schmeichel from Jamie. Edo, who's your keeper this week and why?
Ruud Fabianski.
Very good.
Lucas Fabianski, 4,500 at the other end. I don't see Swansea winning. They could hold off Leicester, but I see saves here just because he seems to make a lot of saves. He's a very respected goalkeeper after last season. He's actually about 1,000 or so cheaper than the more expensive goalkeepers, so there's the potential there. Leicester City have looked a little bit sloppy in build-up as well. Even Mahrez hasn't looked his best. Vardy has been sloppy. Vardy's averaging something like 4 points on...
It's fair. It might even be lower than that, to be honest.
It's very low. Whatever, yeah. Obviously, he's just had 2 bad games, basically. I mean, especially bad against Hull City, where he wasted 2 sitters. And in fact...
I guess it's just for strikers, it's so hard. If you have a bad game as a striker on DraftKings...
It just goes down.
It's impossible.
True, that's true. And yeah, there's a thing about... Jordi Amat and Federico Fernandez, they could actually, they've not looked bad so far, although, against Hull City, that wasn't beautiful in any way, but they've known each other for a while, so I'm hoping that they form a good enough partnership to anyway keep problems out, maybe more shots from outside the box.
Clearly you've got some good confidence there in Fabianski against a misfiring
Leicester City,
Leicester City forward line. Andy, who's in goal for you today?
I've taken a risk.
Ooh.
I wanted to keep it cheap, so I scrolled down past Fabianski. And got down to 4.2 thousand. I've gone for Tom Heaton. A risk because Burnley could get battered by Chelsea and he could concede 3 or 4, which means he'd be absolutely worthless to me. But against Swansea, he conceded a goal, but he's still got 12 points on the board. He got 20 last week against Liverpool. And like Jamie, you said in the previous segment that he likes to make saves. He doesn't like to make saves, he has to make saves. And he does make a lot of saves. And Jamie, what are saves worth in DraftKings?
2 points.
2 points. So it's a risk because, like I say, it could be absolutely worthless if they get battered by Chelsea. But I wanted to keep the money down for some absolute gems further along in my team. So a 4.2 thousand. Tom Heaton.
Tom Heaton is a very good budget choice, I would say, and I think you're quite right. There's plenty of saves to be had at Stamford Bridge for him, I feel. I've gone for Artur Boruc in goal simply because of the team he's playing against. Oof. Bournemouth are playing against Palace this weekend, and I think we'll have a clean sheet. That's just my opinion. Right, so we're going to go into defenders, and Jamie again. Jamie, who are your 2 defenders in your 8?
I've kicked it off with Andrew Robertson from Hull, who's only 4,100. Averages 4 tackles and 3.5 interceptions per game, so he's getting points here. Whatever happens, he's going to be busy against Man United. I'm not too worried about him picking up a clean sheet or anything. I just think I was just impressed by how Bournemouth's fullbacks did against Man United in the first game. I thought that Southampton did have chances against Man United, and quite a lot of them came from those wide areas. I'm not sure that I think Valencia's been okay. I think he's been good going forwards. I don't think he's been as good as everyone's making him out to be at the back because they haven't been tested by anyone that good yet. Yeah. Not that Hull are that good.
He's really grafted, though. I mean, he's an athlete anyway, but
a fullback scored against them for Bournemouth, which another reason for me to have confidence in Andrew Robertson, and he's very cheap. Alongside him, Matt Targett, 4,500. I'm just going to pick him every week while he's in place of Bertrand because he's cheap, gets a lot of crosses in. Sunderland are the worst team in the league. And I think they're very poor at the back. They were terrible in the first half against Borough, and Borough aren't that good going forwards. I think they'll be good to a certain extent against these bad teams, but when they come up against someone very good, they're going to get found out. And I think Southampton will have a very good day against Sunderland.
Yeah, I think you're going to be correct there. I'd say. Andy, let's move on to you. Who are your two defenders today?
First of all, I've gone very cheap, but someone that isn't going to be cheap for much longer if he keeps playing the way he's playing, and that's Carl Norton of Swansea. It's a guy I nearly picked. I think you picked him last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
I nearly picked him last week. Didn't want him because I have too many bad memories of him playing for Spurs. But his point scoring has been fantastic. 13.8 against Hull, and that was a game they lost. And he got 12 points against Burnley as well. So, yeah, he seems to have license to just bomb forward at will and get crosses in, and he's doing that. And he's only 3.7 thousand. So at the moment, you've got to pick him because it's going to save you a lot of money in the rest of your squad. And also, I think players that's kind of that cheap in price are going to be quite low owned because I think people scroll down and don't really want to spend ridiculously small amounts of money because they think they're just going to be buying somebody's rubbish.
Yeah.
So he's worth a shout on that. Alongside him, another defender that I dislike immensely is Nacho Monreal. Solely because he's an Arsenal player. But I've got two words here. These are my two words to describe Nacho Monreal this week. One, consistent. Two, Watford. Arsenal have got to win. They've got to get a win this season, and I think they're going to get it away this season, at the start of this season, this month. But no, Arsenal need a win, and I think they showed themselves against Leicester last week that they're decent. He's averaging 9 points so far this season. Not cheap, it's 5.1 thousand, but I've gone for Nacho Monreal as my other defender.
Very good. Okay, so Carl Norton playing himself back into your heart. It seems. Would I be correct?
You know what? I'm gonna take Carl Norton back into my heart this season. He's going to replace. If Carl Walker's not playing, I'll
You have a
always
Kyle.
pick Carl Norton if he is.
All right, battle of the Kyles. There's always a Kyle in your team. Edo, who's your defenders, my friend?
Because I feel like a copycat here because I've gone for Norton and Matt Targett. Like the first time I went on this show, and I involuntarily, I didn't know that I was picking him, but I went for the Tyrone Atkins special of Nathan Aki and DeAndre Yedlin.
Consistency is key, my friend.
Consistency is key, especially at those prices. And yeah, Norton is 3,700. He's been playing well despite an unimpressive Swansea. And he puts in loads of crosses. He had even a shot in Swansea's last game, which I believe Llorente got in the way of. And it was one of those that from outside
Typical
the box.
Llorente, that is.
Typical Fernando, that is.
Yeah, that is typical.
Selfish.
Fernando. You know, a really weird stat, Llorente has 27 goals in the league with Juventus, the same number as Morata, and I think one has played 93 games, the other one 92. Really odd. They've actually got very similar numbers. Of course, there are different stories behind it, but Llorente I still think could be good, but that was, very Fernando. Especially the shot, even the commentator on Match of the Day went, that probably would have gone in.
They're both playing for teams with white shirts this season.
Yeah.
But there's
that's
a
all
big
there.
difference between the two teams with white shirts. Sorry, continue.
No, but that's it. So, and for Matt Targett, there's another thing is that Sunderland will play defensively, or very likely, and so there will be loads of crosses in there, and at 4,500, I think it's a very good price. So, yeah.
Very canny picks. I've gone for Danny Blind myself. I think he's been playing very, very well for Man United. And I've gone for Big Phil Jagielka because he's cheap. I've got to save money for down the road as well.
True.
Very quickly divert from the normal proceedings and say, DeAndre Yedlin, you are a Premiership superstar.
Yes.
But good luck down in the Championship with Newcastle. Gone but not forgotten. Right, let's move on to our midfielders. Ed, I'm going to stay with you. Who are your midfielders today?
Eden Hazard at 8,600. He's playing against Burnley, but more importantly, he's playing very well so far. He's instrumental in everything Chelsea do, and I think he's going to have another good game. I'm not sure if Burnley have the wherewithal to necessarily resist him. I mean,
He is going to draw an awful lot of fouls, I suspect, on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think because that's how you contain Eden Hazard. But that's good for getting points to DraftKings. Drawing fouls does result in points, doesn't it, Jamie?
Yeah. I mean, what does that say about Conte? He's been here 2 games and he's already completely motivated Hazard. And in fact, Hazard looked much more motivated for Belgium, with whom he's had previous problems in the past. What does that say about last season? I mean, complete car crash, unfortunately. But 8,600, he's not necessarily the most expensive, and I kind of like that. And the other one is Paul Pogba, 8,000. Is it 8,000? Yeah, it's 8,000. Because Pogba was actually, he wasn't just playing well against Southampton. He was actually dribbling 1-2 players at a time from difficult positions. He'd have his back stay to the midfield, having picked the ball up just outside his box. Oh, he'd just skip past 2 guys and just go on a run. And there were some very nice things there. And I think against Hull City, he could be the difference just in front of their defence. You know, Hull City they'll barricade themselves in, but I think he's the kind of player who can sort of unpick that lock. And last season he was very consistent at Juve, which he hadn't actually been the previous season. So I'm seeing signs of progress.
He is maturing at the right time, and
Yeah.
I thought he had a fantastic debut last week.
Yeah.
You know, that was a high-pressure cauldron of an atmosphere, and he delivered.
And I doubted him, so I said, oh, he may not have such a... No, it was good.
No, he did a good job. Right, let's move on to Andy. Andy, who are your superstar midfielders? I suspect there's at least one.
Yeah, I've gone for Eden Hazard again. I think I've gone for Eden Hazard every game this season. But he's worth it. He's still cheap. It's 8,600. It's still, you know, if you look at, you see like Harry Kane's and Vardy's are up there still knocking around the 9,000s. The Eden Hazard's cheap at 8.6. I don't really have to say anything else about him. So I'm going to move on to my next pick, which is Andros Townsend.
My boy.
Of Crystal Palace. 7.1 thousand. Right, he's averaging 19.8 points a game, right? Now, there's no wins, no goals, no assists.
No strikers.
Right? Yeah, he's averaging nearly 20 points a game. Imagine his stats would go through the roof if he scored or assisted this weekend against Bournemouth. And there's every chance he could. They've got Benteke now, so they've got a focal point, someone to at least get in the way of Andros' wayward shots, deflect them into the goal. So, Andros Townsend. For me, right, he's this season's Robbie Brady. He's going to be up there in the sort of top 5 performers of the midfield, and you're not quite sure why, because his team are sort of down there at the bottom. This season's Robbie Brady.
I love it, because I'm not saying there's a discrepancy with how DraftKings works, but it is amazing that, someone that doesn't really result in goals or bring any assists, but just sheer endeavour, that does get us points. So you've got to look at players like that as well, not just your De Bruynes and your Hazards. Finally, your midfield, Jamie, who have you got?
First up, Dusan Tadic, 7,700. He's another one like Townsend who no goals or assists yet. I've got him in my season-long team as well, so I really want him to do well this week. He's averaging 5.5 crosses per game, 4 shots per game. Stack him up with Target, stack him up with Redmond. Maybe even have all 3 of them, because I think they're just going to get you so many points this week. I'm so confident in them. At Southampton this weekend, I've just been so unimpressed with the David Moyes project on Weir's side so far.
Sounds like a really bad prog rock band.
Yeah,
The David Moyes
really,
project.
David Moyes revival.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is bad. It's, maybe
So far, so bad. It might improve.
So far, so bad. Yeah, possibly. And then Andros Townsend, of course, 7,100, so cheap. 19.8 fantasy points per game. He's a must-play at the moment. You can't not play him, because he's in every winning lineup so far in the biggest contest on DraftKings. He's been there. He's the constant.
Yes.
He gets the most points every single weekend out of those players. He's going to be offset pieces now, which worries me a bit. I think his points floor goes down a tiny bit because Kabai's back in. So Cabaye might be the value pick here, but I'm pretty sure he's more expensive than Townsend actually. So I think you just go for Townsend. He also has 4.5 tackles per game and 4 shots per game, because we're playing a system where Zaha, if he's there any longer, and Townsend having to defend a lot in this system, but he's still managing to get a lot of crosses in and shots that were on target in the first week, but the second week went over the bar.
Okay, so 2 members of our panel here are strongly...
And Benteke is there this week. And
Yes,
we're
he
playing
is.
Bournemouth, and Bournemouth are rubbish. So
Oh, famous last words.
gotta be confident.
What else is there?
What else is there?
Exactly.
To do?
Where are you? Are you at home or away?
Home.
You're at home,
We're,
right.
we're bad at home though. We're usually better away.
But you're going to use your season ticket.
I'm gonna.
One which will be considerably cheaper next season, I suspect. But anyway,
Another burn.
I know, I can't help it. I'm sorry. My midfield, I've gone for Tadic as well. Same reason. He's letting off shots. He's an all-action superstar at the moment. I think everyone should probably be looking at him. But next time I've gone for Mahrez. I think he's going to have a very good day at home against Swans. So that's my midfield. Right, strikers. This is our most exciting bit. This is where all the money goes. Edo, who's your forward line?
Zlatan Ibrahimovic at 9,600. Even at that price, he's a bargain. You don't mess with the streak that he's on right now. I do not like messing with Zlatan. I don't think I really need to say that much more than that, really. I mean,
Have you messed with Zlatan?
Did you mess with that?
well, when Inter Milan gave him to Barcelona and we got Eto plus, I can't remember how many million on top of that.
About
And
20.
then we went on to win the treble. So at that moment there, I was a little bit Zlatan dismissive. I was just like, yeah, you know, get out of here. But he still did score 15 goals at
Karate
Barcelona.
kicked you in the face.
Yeah, it was nothing. Oh, he's a hero. I do love him. I do love that.
At 34 years of age, he's currently proving that he's still got what it takes. Certainly in this brilliant.
Especially
league.
imposing himself physically with the headers against Southampton. I mean, he completely outjumped Jose Font. So I'm really impressed. The other guy cost less than half on him. Norden Amrabat, Watford versus Arsenal. And okay, here are my problems.
Justify this.
Justify is good, right? Liverpool's goals against Arsenal, most of them were conceded from attacks which began on the wing. So those fullbacks are really not playing defensively, not playing very well yet. Amrabat has actually looked better this season. He's got two good point tallies so far. I believe it's 13 and 16 points, but it could be a little less than that. He was showing something towards the end of last season. He had one decent game against West Ham, and I believe he got sent off. But he was actually otherwise showing that he could be a solution up front.
You still need to justify this.
So the thing about Watford as well is that Mazzari's been good. So Mazzari had actually only ever beaten Conte once in league play, and against Chelsea he did show that Watford could go out there and play well against the big boys. Arsenal are still a bit of an unknown quantity and have been a kind of trash. You could sort of take them out in midfield, give the ball to Northern. 4,000.
Okay, you have failed to justify this pick. I must say.
All you needed to say is
bananas.
he cost 4,000.
He cost 4,000. That's it.
You didn't justify
I've run out of money. He cost 4,000. We'll see how he does
He
against
reminds me
Arsenal.
of a year one Riyad Mahrez' first season at Leicester City. So not the enormously huge one, but one we still got decent amounts of goals and played.
I am definitely keeping my eye out for this guy this weekend because he didn't really impress me against Chelsea last week. Jamie, who's your forward line?
I've resisted the temptation to pick Christian Benteke. It's so hard not to pick him.
8,100 was it?
It's a lot, though, I think. So instead, I've gone Chelsea. Diego Costa, 8,700. I said waxed about him earlier.
He's been great, but
him
disciplinary
Fabregas.
worries me though, Jamie.
Yeah, it worries me a little
Worries
bit,
me.
but I looked back at his stats from. He rarely gets sent off. He usually does something and gets suspended.
Yes, after the fact,
Retrospectively,
yeah.
which I'm happy about if it's on DraftKings because he won't get any minus points. So
He's a wonderfully sneaky bastard.
yes,
is St.
he is.
Diego. I
He'll
mean,
get
we
the
love him for
he'll,
this.
He'll get the minus 1.5, and like in 3
Yeah.
games' time, he will be suspended.
He will miss
But,
a game.
well, yeah, it's just 2 yellows so far. I don't see that changing this weekend. But I think the goal scoring aspect of his game is so good that you just have to pick him right now. He's in one of those runs, and as Edo said about Zlatan, these strikers who are just scoring every week, you don't not pick them because sod's law, they'll score again. And then exactly. So I think Costa, and then alongside him, Eden Hazard. He's making Chelsea tick right now. He's the best player, I think. Maybe apart from Costa's finishing the chances, but Hazard is just getting so many points on DraftKings. He had 16 points last week without a goal or an assist. First week, of course, he scored 8,600. If you're considering that Christian Benteke is 8,100, I don't think that's expensive for him. And I think Chelsea, they'll get a couple of goals, and I don't think it even matters if he isn't involved in one of them because he'll get you double figures anyway.
Well, I've got to say, as a Chelsea fan, I'm very impressed with your forward lineup. Andy Davis, who we got in your forward lineup, mate?
I've gone for Zlatan
Yes.
because I don't mess with him either.
No.
You can't mess with Zlatan on form like this. But no, look, he's the informed striker at the moment. 3 goals in 2 games, 9.6 thousand. But yeah, 21.8 points. He's at home to Hull. You expect him to get another 1 or maybe 2 goals. He's going to be high owned, but if you work the rest of your team around it, you should be all right. And it's just great having him in the Premier League. It's great having an actual superstar in the league. You know, he's like Aguero. If you can't, it doesn't matter who you support. If you can't enjoy the fact that Zlatan's in the Premier League, then football's not for you.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
I'll cut in very quickly here. There's people I know, in fact, mutual friends of ours, that have called him overrated over the last few years. And those people are idiots. You just are. You know who you are. You're a moron. All of you. Without it. I'm a big fan of Zlatan. I think if you haven't read his book, get his book. It's the most hilarious thing you ever read, but for good reason. But yes, absolutely, I agree. He's in my teams.
And then alongside him, for the same reasons that you were sort of stacking up Southampton players, I've gone for Nathan Redmond. 5.9 thousand. He's really cheap, and I think they're going to have a field day against Sunderland. And Redmond, this is my prediction of the week. Redmond's going to get 2 assists, and both of those assists are going to lead to goals by Sugar Shane Long's going to get 1 of the goals. And I'll give Tadic 1 of the goals as well.
mate.
Oh, good.
And then Nathan Redmond's going to get a goal himself. So in a 3-0 win,
Okay, so for everyone out there who didn't know, Andy Davis is our Mystic Meg of DraftKings. He's been very specific with his predictions.
None of them are right.
Of course not. Just another reminder, everybody, that this season with DraftKings, you can actually pick midfielders as strikers as well. You've got that option. So as you've seen, Jamie's gone for Hazard. He's moved him up into the forward lineup rather than just the midfield where he occupies that space for the rest of the boys. And you've gone for Redmond. You put him up front next to Zlatan. My two strikers, I've gone for Zlatan also because you do not mess with the Zlatan. That's it. That's just law. And next to him, I've gone for Batshuayi of Chelsea because he will have an impact. At some point, he's going to get on that pitch, and he's proven it in the last 3 games. The kid's dynamite. I really believe he is, and he's a breath of fresh air in the Chelsea.
I also think he's a very good pick if you're playing big GPP contests because he'll be so low owned if he's on the bench again.
Yeah.
And he could come on and score, and he could be that.
He's still sub 8,000, but I mean, I think that would
If you're paying for the goal for that, it's really good value.
Yeah, you get a goal or an assist every week off him, even if he's coming off the bench. Like hardly anyone else will have him.
Yeah.
I think that's.
And I think against defenders such as me and the like, I think he should have a good day. So that's our first 7. But of course, as you know, with DraftKings, it's an 8-man lineup. And so we've got a goalkeeper, we've got 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 strikers. There's room for one more. This is the utility player. That's right. This is a player from any position on the pitch that you could just draft in with your spare change, with the money you got left from your budget. Let's start with Edo. Edo, who's your utility player this week?
Andros Townsend.
Whoa!
It's a sweep. It's a sweep. And yeah, he's our boy. Last season also we got goals at Newcastle. I'm expecting that those shots per game to eventually be converted into goals. I mean, I've always based my fantasy team. I know, right? It's a bit, but okay. So I have generally based my season-long fantasy teams on the who scored the Opta stats of shots per game because those eventually do work out. You will eventually regress to the norm and start scoring goals, unless of course you're, I don't know, Freddie Guarin, in which case forget about it. But or Wayne Rooney for that matter. But yeah. 7,100 is a good price, and yeah, I just think Bournemouth's defence is rubbish. The fullbacks, especially into bomb forwards, there's loads of space, and France has looked horrible against Man United.
You know what,
So, yeah.
Edo, not to be rude, all that's been covered already.
Yeah,
You picked him earlier. Jamie, who's your utility player?
Kyle Norton, 3,700. I think he'll have a busy. I agree with Andy about them getting forwards and getting lots of points. I think he'll have a busy game against Leicester as well, and he'll have a lot of tackles to make. And that's my main reason. And he's only 3,700, and he's averaging almost 13 points a game.
And you know what? I'll jump in at this point before we go to Andy's utility pick. I too have picked Kyle Norton as my utility player for exactly the same reasons. Finally, Andy, I'm going to ask you this question. Have you gone cagey? Did you budget for your utility, or is it the spare change on the back of the sofa? What is it?
No, I had some money left. It was a player I was toying with in midfield. He's 5.6 thousand. It's Kevin Morales of Everton.
All right.
He's going to be low owned. He's played well this season. 10 crosses so far, 4 fouls, 3 shots on goals. He's scored 1 goal as well. And because he's of that price, like Nathan Redmond, those players that are kind of in the 5,500 tend to be, they tend to be kind of low owned because they're too cheap. They're too expensive to be a really cheap player and too cheap to be an expensive player. So he's in that kind of grey area. And I picked him out. Koeman's using him really well this season. He's playing to his strengths. So, yeah, Kevin Morales, 5.6 thousand. He's your man.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there, DraftKings fans, that that is a very canny pick and worth perusing. Now, we've all picked our team, so let's have a good look here. Let's take a look at Andy's team. There we are. We've got Tom Heaton, Monreal, why? Norton, Eden Hazard, Townsend. That's loads of points on the board there. That's very good for Andy. Let's go move on to Edo. Edo has gone for Ruud Fabianski in goal. Then we've got Kyle Norton, Matt Target, Eden Hazard again. There he is. Paul Pogba. That's right. The highest price player in the world. Ambarat, who, why? We'll find out this weekend. Big Zlatan, who you don't mess with, and Andros, there he is again. And finally, it's Jamie's team. We've gone for Big Casper at the back there. We have Robertson, Target, Tadic, Townsend, Costa, Hazard, Norton. I like your team, Jamie. But everybody, what about your team? If you haven't already, download the app. Get it onto your smartphones or your tablets, or whatever device you like to use, even your home computer. Pick an 8-man team, play your friends, play the world. You can win cash prizes daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Everybody, welcome to the big time.